Cool. And then I'm going to call up Miss Madison. Where's she at? Oh, there's she right there. Cool. And then last but certainly not least, and I didn't even get a chair for my wife.
Wow. Boo.
I'm going to call Lucy up here. Cool. All right. So here's the thing. Here's how tonight's going to work the best, kind of just to help us out, help move things along. Our lovely hosts are going to ask the questions, but also if you guys have any questions that maybe come to mind or something that you forgot to ask, you can text that number. We're going to keep that on the screen. Text that number. And again, remember, nothing is off limits to ask. And since it's my work number, I don't have all your numbers saved because if I text you, I'm texting you from my personal number. So you can ask some really crazy stuff. And some of you have. So I got a wild one last year that I still can't talk about. So
I think that we should.
when you guys graduate high school, there's a lot of stories that you guys get to hear. So cool. Huh? In just a couple months. All right.
Couple months.
Cool. Ladies, you guys have your questions up?
Hi, guys. Our first question for y'all is going to be, please remind us of your names and then tell us how you and your partner met. Who wants to go first? Jeannie and Jared? JT?
Hello. Okay. So you guys can call us Brad or Ray or
Desirad.
yeah, that's the combo. Mr. and Mrs. Des. So Brad and I met in high school. I was a sophomore, he was a junior, and we met at a house party.
Yeah, it was a coincidence. One of my friends had gotten her number and asked her to come, and I didn't even know she was coming, but he ended up flaking, and she came in, and right when I saw her, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna marry this girl. So yeah, we dated through high school, and I think my senior year, I showed up late to an event, and but I'd brought.
I think you messed up Valentine's Day.
I did mess up Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I came late. I had like baseball practice or something. I don't know. I was a jock.
Messed up.
But I showed up with yellow roses, and some years later, it was funny because she was really emotional. But some years later, she told me that, like growing up and in middle school and in high school, like the first guy that brought her yellow roses was the guy she was going to marry, and that was me. So, yeah.
True story.
True story. So we've been together for 20.
We've been married for 16 and we've known each other for
25, 26 years, yeah.
There you go. Boom.
Boom.
I have a mic.
Do you guys want
Is this on? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Sorry. I'm Madison. My husband's not here because apparently he can't answer text messages. Sorry, Isaiah. I actually didn't even know. But I met my husband in high school as well. I was a sophomore. I think he was a senior. Okay, we're being honest here. But we met because he was friends with one of my best friends, and I guess just liked me for whatever reason and would not leave me alone. I was like, okay. Wasn't too interested at first, but then it's 9 years later, and we got married like a year and a half ago. So sometimes it works out.
Do you want to tell it?
Oh,
You can.
check.
You guys go first.
Hi, I'm Jared.
I'm Jeannie.
We met at Gateway, so you can too. You can meet your future partner. They might be sitting. No, I'm just kidding.
You never know.
Hi, I'm Lucy. You guys are so nice. Isaiah and I met in college. It was my sophomore year, his junior year. and we, I mean, that was when we started dating, but I should clarify that we met my first day on campus. And it was because the school we went to, SAGU, and maybe other schools have this, I don't know, but there's like that, like just freshman class you take that teaches you how to like be a human in college. They're like, here, do you need help with your home, you know, whatever. But during orientation week, they assign older students to your group. They're like your little like camp counselors basically for freshman orientation week. And Isaiah was my group leader. I was dating someone else at the time, so that was not. There was no love at first sight thing that happened. My first impression of him was he was standing on a table wearing American flag shorts and waving a flag and screaming, which, you know, I'm sure is very off base for you guys for how he is now. I mean, he's a totally changed man. Very laid back, very cool, very chill. And then he actually dated another girl from that same group before.
Scandal. And you guys are Twitter friends, so.
Yeah, her and I are friends, actually. It's cool. But yeah, we started dating the following year after we had both parted ways with those individuals. And we were together for about 2.5 years. And then we have been married for coming up on 9 years.
Yeah. Can I, what?
Can you speak to the American flag shorts?
They were awesome.
Were they?
And I assume you still have them, right?
No. They disintegrated. Not while I was wearing them.
Thank you, people. How do you and your partner keep yourself grounded in the present of God's plan? What? How do you keep yourself grounded in the present of God's plan with your partner instead of fantasizing about the future?
How do you and your partner keep yourself present, like in the present time of God's plan, instead of fantasizing about the future?
I feel like you plan so many times and then the plan changes so many times that you eventually realize that's not a good plan to plan. He's just gonna laugh every single time. You gotta just take it day by day. That's what he calls us all to do, but also that's just how it ends up.
I'm a huge planner, and so I think I kind of forced that on Brad and our family a bit. And so even when we were first getting married, we went to like a premarital counseling thing, and they do encourage you to like make plans for what does 5 years like look like, and what does 10 years look like. And so I do think there's a part of it that's kind of important, so that you guys can kind of dream together about what the future looks like. But day to day, with work and family and whatever your passions are, it's almost impossible not to be present if you're trying to do it together, because otherwise you'll be on completely different pages, and then that's when like you usually like lash out on each other, or like that's maybe something that just happens to me every now and then. But yeah, like working together every day, it's like once you're together for long enough, I feel like I can kind of tell when Brad's not like gonna give me, it's not always 50-50. There's days that I have to get up and be like, okay, I'm doing all the running around, or he's doing all the running around, or with sports, or we divide and conquer. And so I think that like naturally, God will bring you back to the present and like check you when you do start to like think a little too far ahead of yourself.
My impression of that question, assuming that it's students asking these questions, my impression, I'm like putting myself in the shoes of somebody who's probably in middle school or high school, and you're like, you don't yet know if you're going to marry this person, and you're trying to like not get too fixated on that. Maybe that's not what you meant, but that's what I thought you meant. And if that's you, if you're in a relationship in middle school or high school and you are trying to stay in the present instead of getting too wrapped up and putting like so much pressure on the relationship because you're like, could this be the person I marry? Would be that like, I don't know. We have a 7-month-old son right now, and Felix, and everyone tells you that it goes by so fast, and it's hard to understand what that means until you're living it. But I think that that's true of so many other seasons of life as well. Like middle school and high school is this really brief time in your life, and it's really special for its own reasons. And like this time is not time you're ever going to be able to get back. So my advice to you would just be if you can find ways to be grateful for what your relationship looks like right now, because there will come a point where you guys will need to decide. Like every relationship, every romantic relationship either ends in breaking up or getting married. Like those are the two options. You don't have to make that decision right now, and that's kind of a blessing. So I know it's hard to hear sometimes because we get really excited about that decision, but there's so much that you'll miss in the present moment if you get too far down that road. So just appreciate where you are now because you're never going to get it back.
Yeah, to kind of add on to that, I think it's important to like dream and have plans for the future, but it's also important to realize that like the way that you envision your future is probably not the way that God wants your future to go, because we have like very earthly desires, and I think it's important to have dreams for the future, but also recognize like it might not end up working out the way that you thought it would. It probably is going to work out better actually, because God's behind it. But I would just say focus on your personal growth. Like if you're with somebody, focus on growing together towards Christ and just take it day by day, because I think it's easy to fantasize about years down the line, but it's like how are you taking the steps to get there? And so I think it's just important to focus on your day by day growth, you know?
Cool. I got a question from the chat. It's the chat. Whatever. All right, chat. This is what the chat says, chat. Says,
And this is why he's not hosting.
yeah. It says, this is a really riveting question here. How do you understand women? You don't. Next question, please.
True.
Thank you for that, Isaiah. Thank you. We have some claps from the guys who submitted the question. Our next question is about sharing your faith with your partner. It says, how do you make praying together or Bible study together not awkward? How do you approach it when both of you are open to it and want it?
I feel like I'm just gonna start badly every single time, but it starts something.
Thank you.
We got some of these questions before, and this one was one I related to a lot. I still, to this day, find it so uncomfortable to pray in front of people, and I'll make myself do it, but it is really awkward for me. Even in like front of my husband and stuff, he prays in front of me, no problem at all. But I've got some block. But lately, I've found that everybody, I feel like, is so used to praying pretty like quietly to yourself. Like people aren't usually going up like Isaiah in front of people and doing stuff like that. So in the morning, just by myself at home, I've literally started to like, when I'm praying, talking to God, doing whatever, I'm like loudly talking. Like I'm making it like overly comfortable to talk with God, to pray, to like make something every day just a little bit easier. And then I like once a week will just pray over dinner with my husband where he usually does it. I think it's just like a little bit by bit like exposure therapy for both of you. And especially if you're both open to it, I think just small, like even 10-second prayers, just bit by bit, I think can just kind of chip away from that anxiety.
Yeah, I think, at least for us, whenever we start talking about the Bible and stuff, it usually comes up because I might be looking at something, or Jeannie might be looking at something, and it just kind of comes out of like, I was looking at this thing and I think it's really cool, and like just not even having to have like a fully thought out thing, but just like bringing up like, oh, this is really cool. I was studying this, and I think the excitement that you have for studying the Bible will probably, if the person likes you, it'll be contagious, and I think they'll feed on that excitement too.
And like, I don't think awkward is bad. I think like if you're feeling tension and you're feeling like uncomfortable, like wow, this is new, that's good because you're growing. And if once you keep doing it, it'll start to feel more natural. But yeah, like just embrace the tension, embrace the awkwardness, because you guys are trying to grow together, or at least grow in your understanding of God and like trying to pray. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. Like, I didn't necessarily grow up in the church. Desiree did, and I'm still on my journey. I'm still trying to catch up with her knowledge and faith. So, yeah, just kind of like I kind of trust with what Dez's direction and where we're going. And at first it was, we'd go out to eat dinner or something, and she would want us all to pray. And at first it was kind of like, oh my God, what are we doing? But now it's, I trust her, and it's like that's something she wants to do, and I want to do it with her. And the boys jump in too, so it's not awkward anymore. It's what we do, and yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Is like just the more you do, it's like muscle memory, and it is awkward. But then when you're family, it's just like you bust each other's chops, or you just like, wow, that was great. And so whatever you do as your family, we joke a bunch. And so, but also like Brad and I will just like listen to Lectio together. It doesn't have to. It can look in like so many different ways, and like sometimes somebody will fall back asleep. But in my mind, I'm like, well, Jesus says he needs to rest more, So there's a time for everything, and there's other times that it's like super relevant, and then we talk about that more. And so I just think as long as you're seeking it, that it's going to show up in different ways, and you're not going to be worried about the awkwardness.
Okay, this is going to sound weird coming from your pastor. You don't have to read the Bible together. But I think that there's a point to be said about the level of accountability that you see with that person. If you're growing spiritually and they're growing spiritually, that's great. But oftentimes it's like, is it a point to check off a box because you think that that's what good Christians do? Or is that a natural overflow? Kind of like what Jared and Jeannie talked about, was just like, it's just something like they're sharing their faith together, but it's not necessarily this like super rigid expression of that.
Okay, next question. How do you ask for reassurance from your partner without relying on them for your value?
One more time, please.
How do you ask reassurance from your partner without relying on them for your value?
I feel like setting up like realistic expectations for yourself of like before you even ask, one, I would bring it to God first. I think that's reassurance from him and peace from him would feel a lot better than the guy who like maybe saying what you want him to say. But also going into it knowing that if you don't get the answer that you're looking for, that's not gonna like take anything away from you. Like it's not gonna, you're not getting your identity from it. And yeah, just you could put yourself in a situation to only like gain a little bit of reassurance or clarity or whatever you're looking for. But if this person isn't giving you what you're looking for, to not let it chip away at you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm assuming that like you're a Christian and you're dating a Christian, and so you should find your value in God first. It's nice to have the reassurance from your partner, and if you are truly like finding your value in Christ, and you're still not feeling reassured, I would maybe say it's maybe a red flag, because I think just reassurance comes out of like the love that you have for the other person, and so if you guys are like in love, I think that reassurance will just naturally come about. But it's important to just not put your value in that, because there's going to be seasons, especially if you're dating or married for a long time, where you're probably not going to get the reassurance that you want like 100% of the time. And so you have to kind of be strong in yourself so you don't fall, I guess.
A quick follow-up question. When it comes to self-value, are there any scriptures in particular that you like to look over, or any other affirmations that you guys use?
Like for one another or self?
Both. Either.
That's a good question. I mean, my answer to the first part of the question was going to be that I think it's okay to seek reassurance from your partner, especially if like maybe your love language is words of affirmation and you are in a relationship with someone that doesn't come naturally to them to express that. That's a dynamic we have in our relationship. I think it's okay to ask and be like, hey, I need to know that you think this about me. Like, I need to know that you think I'm a good husband, a good partner, a good friend. I think where that gets into relying on that for your value is if you're kind of constantly seeking that out. So I feel like you should kind of already be at like a certain baseline level because of where your relationship with Christ is, but then your partner is just kind of like adds on top of that, if that makes sense. In terms of like scripture, I'm blanking on like a specific verse that I use, but one of my personal favorite affirmations is that I have not yet met all of the people that are gonna love me. And I think it's just a reminder that God has always been so faithful to me when I have prayed for friends. That is a way that he has shown up for me hugely in my life. Every time that I've prayed for friends, he's answered that prayer. And so that affirmation of like, I have not yet met all the people that are gonna love me, it just gives me hope for the future, and it makes me excited about who God is gonna continue to bring into my life.
Can I kind of, in the same kind of vein, ask a question that came in? I'm going to try to reword this the best I can. But it kind of comes along like the assurance and then like the beginning stages of a relationship, like that infatuation stage. Totally normal, and it's good, and it's fun, and it's light, and I just like this person, they like me. So when that happens, how do you not, like when that goes away and that fades, what has kept like the love alive or kept the spark alive, so to speak?
So with regards to, I don't know, it's maybe gonna sound kind of cheesy, but like, yeah, the level of like infatuation and just being like obsessive with each other. I mean, you have like all of the feelings and you like feel like you're gonna explode inside, and that's really exciting. I think like a level of that never really goes away if you're truly with the right person. And like I see Brad in a very different light 26 years later, but at a lot of times I really do just feel like we're at a house party in high school for the first time. So like I think that if you love each other and you're I think that if you love each other and you have this if you love each other and you're having fun together and like you love the life that you've created together, then it'll look different, but it's always kind of underlying.
Yeah, and I was gonna add to that, like, she's like my best friend, like, you know?
Aww.
Sorry.
Okay, now I want to hear from the soon-to-be newlyweds.
Wait, what was the question again? How do you keep it alive?
How do you keep the spark alive?
Well, I think Jared is like my best friend. So I think like whoever you are with, you want to like have feelings for them, but you also want to enjoy being around them like all the time. Sometimes you might be like, go away, but you want like someone who you can laugh with, or like if you have an activity like you like doing, like we love trying like new restaurants and going to get coffee, like so it doesn't feel like I have to like do it because like I want to just be around him and I want to be like his friend. But
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that I would approach it the same way we approach God, you know, like show up and make the choice to love every day, even though you might not feel like it, you know. I don't know what else to add to that, but like, yeah, sometimes we come into church, we don't feel like worshiping, but you still choose to do it because you love God. And I think it's the same thing with the relationship too. It's like you show up every day and make that choice, so.
I also think that like when you know that you like love the like roots of a person, because over time things are going to change. They're going to change, you're going to change, circumstances are going to change, like, and there's going to be phases that like you aren't the biggest fan of, but you can't like let go. And this isn't to say like if somebody starts being horrible to you to stay because one time they were so good, but if they show you consistently that they are still this person and they still like, sometimes you just have to go through phases and like pull yourself back, and that is like you said earlier of like you're only going to be this young once. You're going to look back on these times and be so excited, and it's not looking back and being like, oh, I wish I was still doing that, because I don't want to be in high school again. I really don't. But it is like such exciting times, but it's every phase is just like better and better when you're with the right person. And when I feel like we could all say that we're married to our best friends or going to marry our best friends, and that really is like, I would say that's base level. Start there, find that. But yeah, every phase is so good if you just work in it. And again, like if you just have like that root of the person, you know who they are, who their heart is, like that'll get you really far and be able to like come back to that. Sorry, I rambled a lot.
I think it's also not like linear. Like I think people get this idea of like maintaining this spark, and they envision some kind of like flame that like goes out or something. And I don't think it's like that. I just think, I don't know, you guys have like seen those graphs where it's like what you think progress looks like, and then it's like what progress actually looks like. It's like that can also be what your level of connection looks like throughout the course of your relationship. Like you might go through seasons where you feel less connected or less of a spark, but if you keep showing up and you keep putting in the work, kind of like what Jared was saying, like you guys will find your way back to each other.
Everyone loves Lucy. If y'all don't mind, we're going to do a quick little 180. We have another question that came in kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum here. It says, is it acceptable to not want to have a relationship, or you don't feel any attraction to anyone currently?
One more time.
Is it acceptable, like with God, to not want to have a relationship with another person? You don't feel any attraction to anyone?
I actually think that the default of the life of a Christ follower is a life of singleness. As a married man, I realize that sounds super ironic, okay? So to answer the question kind of on more of just like the biblical level, like we see Paul talking about, I can't remember if it's in Corinthians or if it's Romans, but he's talking about how it's better to be single. he says, better to be just as I am than to be overcome with burning with lust or to be married. So it's like, if you can't control your sexual desire and interest, you're not just getting married to have sex. That's not it, but it's like, that's definitely part of the intimacy that you share with your spouse. Then the other side, it's like, it's better to be single because you're not having to care for this other person. You can devote all your attention and focus to God. And so I'm not saying like everybody's journey is different but our obsession with sexuality in our culture, I think, warps our idea of what the ideal life looks like. And God definitely calls people to being married and to have a family and to have children and to be heavily involved in their church. But he also calls people to be, celibate and to be monks and nuns, and all of that is super legitimate. So just to answer more practically, don't be in a rush. If that is the path that God is calling you to follow, cool. Right now you're just living in obedience of following him, and I guess maybe don't be so worried about it, because if you're devoting your time and your attention to God even right now as a young person, like you're right in step with him. Like he's pleased with you. So.
Okay. Going off of that, how do you approach a realistic and healthy attraction to each other? I could say it again.
Please do.
Okay. How do you approach realistic and healthy attraction to each other?
It's number 6 if you have the list on your phone.
I'm confused by the framing of the question.
That's so
I
wild.
feel like I get it.
Only date hot people.
What?
Easy.
I mean, I would say be attracted to the person that you want to date, but don't put them on such a high pedestal where if they make a mistake, then it's like the fall is so big that you're like, wow, this person's not the way that I saw them. So just see the person the way that God sees them, but don't put them on like such a high pedestal where they can't make mistakes.
Whoever asked that question, are you willing to clarify what you mean? If you're here.
Oh my God. Should we just go to the next question?
I mean, if you want to answer the question
Wait,
physically.
I think we're all a little confused.
Wait,
by the
I feel like I
question.
got this. Hold on.
I believe in you.
I mean,
If you ask this question, you don't want to clarify it.
I
I'm sorry
think-
that we're embarrassing you. I still don't understand.
The way I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think about, like, obviously, everybody's probably like, gonna be in some capacity. Like, you want to be physically attracted. Like, you think they're cute, handsome, they have a nice smile, whatever. That's obviously like, that's just a human thing. Like, people just want that. But I think, especially if you're trying to keep, I don't know if you're looking for like boundaries at y'all's age and things like that, like in mind when you find somebody attractive. But I think when you're in a relationship, like there's so many other things besides like physical attraction that you need to like check a box of. So especially if you're struggling with not crossing those boundaries because you find this person super attractive, whatever situation you're in, I feel like you got to sit there and kind of take inventory of like, what other characteristics of this person do I like? And if they don't add up more than I just think they're cute, then I would probably just book it out of there. Like, there's got to be other things that you can like enjoy about them, interact with them, and kind of fill time with. Like if you like that this person's like artistic or something, then like, okay, I'm not gonna go sit in a car with them somewhere. I'm gonna go to an art gallery. Or like they like music, I'm gonna go to a concert. Like you've got to like other things about them to not have that be the only thing, and then you cross that boundary, if that's kind of clear.
Yeah, I think now I'm starting to get like, I would say just kind of like you two, like, or all of us up here, like we have these commonalities with each other. Like we like to laugh, we like to eat, we like to do things together that don't just involve lust and all this other stuff. So it's I think being knowing yourself and knowing the other person well enough to know other things about them that y'all have in common. Good job.
And I think it's a good thing that you're attracted to them. Like, that's good. And like, if you weren't, that'd be bad. But, so just to clarify that. But I think, like, having, like, a pure mind about them as well, like, not, like, trying, like, if you, like, think they're really attractive and, like, then you start fantasizing about them, like, sometimes, like, things that start with, like, in our mind, they ended up like happening because we're just constantly like, fixating on like ideas or just thinking of something that we probably shouldn't. So just seeing them, like Jared said, like seeing them like as a child of God and like wanting to respect them, because you might be dating them to marry them, but you may not. So it's like whoever this person is going to marry, like you have to have like this level of respect towards them, and also like this understanding like this may not be my husband or wife. But yeah, just I would say like being attracted to them is great, but like having a pure mind towards them is also really great too.
Also, being attracted to somebody's like mind and heart is so much better than just being like only attracted to them for what they look like. And I feel like young minds, that's pretty natural. That's not usually the way that you're thinking about it.
But also, it's not like, I agree with Madison completely, because yes, be attracted to their mind, but if you don't have the like physical attraction to that person, it doesn't, like, you can just be friends with them. Like if they're cool and they're into cool stuff and you're like interested in their personality and their person, it's okay to be friends with them. Also, like, it doesn't need to be so serious, I guess, if that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
We got like, I did. I love the friend zone, especially at church.
I mean, if you can't be best friends with your partner, then
That's true too. Yeah.
I think you guys did a really great job answering that question. I know it wasn't the most straightforward, but we can move on to a very straightforward question that I feel like we get a lot, is how do I feel okay with being single? As a bunch of non-singles yourselves.
Womp womp. No, I'm just kidding.
Jared, you want to go first? Jared and I were kind of laughing. We saw the questions before this, and Jared and I were kind of laughing because the way the question's phrased is like, how can I be okay with being single? Like, that's how I read it. Like, how can I be okay with it? And I'm like, as if singleness is a bad thing, which it really isn't. I think in my life when I was single, you're going to go through different seasons, and but just when I was single, I was able to have time to like invest in my friendships and get mentored by people, which I still have, but my time's split up differently now. And just because you're single, not dating anyone, doesn't mean that you have to be alone. So I think like having community that that you love being around, who are like Christ-centered, or people at your school that you love being around, that can pour into you, is really crucial, I think, during your singleness time.
Yeah, I was pretty much going to say the exact same thing with regards to it's not a bad thing to be single. And I have tons of friends and stories in which people were friends first, and then it's almost like when they finally did, like, it clicked that they really liked each other, and like the whole time they got to like get past that huge like, so let me get to know you phase, or the like app swipe left, swipe right. So like if you are patient, God's got a plan for you, and don't see it as a negative thing. You just, like Jeannie said, it's just like, do the work on you. It's going to make you that much better of a partner when God does bring that person into your life. And I would say enjoy that time, because sometimes people have to go through a lot of breakups and heartaches, and because they want so badly to be in a relationship. And like Lucy said, this is like the only time you're going to be this young, and that you're going to have as little responsibilities as you currently have. So like enjoy it. So
I have so many friends that made me think of, they are always in a relationship or always dating somebody, and nobody wants to hear from the married one. Like, they're like, you're not, what do you know? And I'm like, I don't really know, but I do know that this is typically the relationship they're in. I'm like, this is not the person you're going to marry. You know that, so you're almost postponing it. Like, if you, and you guys are all smart, you know when you're not in the right situation. Not that necessarily that it's really bad, but like, your gut gets you a long way in that.
I think we're good to move on to our next question. I know we're trying to wrap up early, but there's some pretty hard-hitting questions in here that I know we definitely wanted to hit. One being, is it okay to be in relationships where you're on different political sides? Isaiah said he liked that one, so.
I do like that one a lot,
Saying.
but I don't want to answer it.
That's a tough one. Yes and no, right? I mean, if y'all can like talk about things to try to understand each other's side, or what y'all are thinking, and not let it get emotionally involved to where you guys are kind of not on the same page. So it depends. It depends. As long as y'all can collaborate. Yeah, and not sacrifice who you are because how some other person feels.
I feel like there's a lot in that of, you have to more take it back to like, what are your morals? Like, what are your, like, even if you're talking about like politics, like, what are your just like roots of it all? Because if your roots are similar or the same or like coincide, and then some beliefs don't work out, but you can respect that, I think that works. But if your entire like baseline is completely different, I'm sure we all have friends that we have different political beliefs or different thoughts on certain things, and like I love them as much as I love anybody else, but especially somebody you're like in a partnership with, you've got to just have those like roots down pat, I feel like.
I think it's less of a question of like, is it okay, and more like, does it practically work actually? We're in a very like divided moment right now in our country politically. Like, there's a lot of extremism on both sides, and there are also a lot of issues right now that like are political for some reason that like probably shouldn't be. Politics, used to mean, I think we should have this grant be approved for the school board, and I think it shouldn't. That used to be what we meant when we said politics, and I do think it's okay to disagree on something like that. But there are a lot of issues right now that are really important, and I think go back to like your personal morals and values, like what Madison was saying. So, I mean, I just think it would be very difficult to be in a romantic partnership with somebody when you are not aligned on those things that are really, really important to you. And I think that also, like, say you do marry that person, like, you run into issues later down the line of like, okay, what are we gonna like raise our kids to believe? Like, it's almost like being in a relationship with like two different religions or something. I don't know. But that's like how serious politics feels right now. So yeah, I think it's less of like, is it okay? I mean, if it's working for you, then like that's awesome. But yeah, I have a hard time seeing how it could work for a really serious relationship.
I also think it's like important to not try and think you can like change somebody. And there is times where like maybe somebody is really open about like they don't really know how they feel about something or what they believe, and you can share your experiences or your views or whatever, and that might maybe they will agree with you, but I think like trying to change anybody in a relationship is never really the right way to go about that.
Yeah, I would kind of agree. I think generally it's not a good idea. Yeah, because it's like Lucy said, it could inform things of like how you want to raise your kids, or the values that you want to have in your household, and that kind of stuff. And so, and also like marriage is all about unity too, and something about like, especially politics, like Lucy was saying, that it's become like so important that those might be like core beliefs. And so if there's disunity between you and the person you're dating, even when it comes to politics, it might be setting yourself up for failure and just cause more arguments than I think if you guys were more aligned on that.
Sorry, can I interject for a second?
Yes.
Of course.
So, wouldn't normally do this, but, so there's a difference between, we have a different view slightly politically, but if our internal is, hey, we're gonna follow God first and we're gonna follow his leadings, that's fine. You can easily overcome some of these little differences. But right now, with the political climate we are living in, sometimes that political difference is not just a political difference. It is also a moral and who you are following. And if you are not both together following God, sometimes it will drive a wedge, and it can drive a wedge in all of the aspects of your relationship. And it not just impact your relationship with each other, it will impact your relationship with each other's families, kids, everything else.
Yeah.
And not to just to keep building, because I totally echo what everybody has said. It's like the morality of some of these topics that we're talking about, is it informed, like your opinions, is it informed by the Bible, or is it informed by what people have told you that the Bible says? So, for example, just, can I seminary flex for a little bit?
I guess.
Y'all, the book of Isaiah, blown my mind.
Oh my gosh, is that your name?
It's not my fave, chill. Oh, I knew that would happen.
It's literally
Okay,
his name.
the thing is though, when you look at the book of Isaiah, he doesn't mention causes of social justice in the same way that, say, Daniel or Hosea or Amos does. And oftentimes those shorter books are direct to the point, and it's causes of social justice. So it's like, okay, this isn't a new thing, but what is it actually saying? And it's the dignity of human life. And so that should not be a political conversation. So if you're disagreeing based on what a party or a figurehead says in those things, then you're missing what the heart is in the moment. What does the Bible say? Not just what somebody tells you the Bible says. So, okay.
Yeah, and I was also going to kind of like, just because we can be honest here, is like I was going to kind of disagree and say that. Because like my dad and his wife, they are night and day, and they make it work, and they have their own way because they had that mutual love for each other and mutual respect, and that they can sort of have those conversations and where they kind of have an eye-opener. Well, I didn't think of it that way. And or if they're gonna be stubborn and hard-headed, then they'll be like, okay, well, they decide like, let's not talk about this. Or and it's the same way that if I wouldn't just go into a conversation being like, I'm gonna make you believe what I believe, it would never work. And because you are passionate about those things. And there's also the kind of option in that some people aren't terribly political. And I mean, I can speak to that from experience. I'm not gonna let any party define what I believe and how I feel in my relationship with God. And so I think that there is a way to make it work. Could it be more difficult right now, the way things are going? Absolutely. But I don't think that it's the end all be all. I think maybe it's a maybe, in my opinion.
Thank you. We are out of time, but we want to do a quick reach out to the crowd if there's any live questions. We're going to try to do a little bit of a rapid fire. Our first question is going to be rapid fire. What to do in a situation where you and your partner or you and someone you're attracted to are of different religion. And second question, also try to be quick with what to do if your partner is trying to convert you to a different religion.
Break up.
We ain't
Break
got time
up.
for that one.
I mean, since we're doing rapid fire, I will just be the bad guy and say this without a whole lot of nuance or qualification. God's plan for you does not involve dating or marrying somebody that is not a Christ follower. Period.
And Lucy will be hanging out afterwards if you disagree. But I back her up.
Question.
What if one of my best friends is religious?
Like one of your best friends that you're like wanting to date?
Just like, there's other types of relationships, friendships. you know?
True. Okay. That's okay. You can. Okay. Oh yeah. That's her name. That's the one.
Pray for her, love her, and be an amazing friend to her. And in your relationship, the way that you treat her, you will be Christ's witness to her.
And share the gospel.
Do you want a mic? Do you want the mic?
How do you find out the morals of the person you want to date? It's a morsel of, no, it's morals, yeah.
I would say that, like, as you're getting to know each other, you know, what do you want them to know about you? And you ask those questions because it's important that you get to know each other. And I would start with what's important to you. That doesn't mean you have to have the exact same answers to things, but the more you talk it out and get to know each other, then you'll understand if that's a person that you want to be a friend with, or if you want to pray for more, or if you want to start a relationship. It sparked the conversation, and that'll lead to other things. Friendship, relationship, et cetera, et cetera.
Kira.
How can you find a healthy balance with God in a relationship?
What do you mean? Say more.
Like, how do you balance God and a relationship without, like, causing one to have too much interference?
Like, how do you put God first?
Whose opinion matters at the end of the day? No, Lily.
No, Lily.
No, it's like what is the worth and the value of your relationship with God? Is it enough to sustain you when you're single? Is it enough to sustain you when you have another person? At the end of the day, my question, of course, like I'm wondering, okay, did I love my wife well today? But it's not only for the sake of loving her well from a relationship perspective. Did I show her Jesus? And if I'm not in step with Jesus and having a good balance in like prioritizing my relationship with him, I'm not a good husband. And I'm not a good friend either. And so it's like, even though it's like dating in high school isn't quite as heavy or serious as a marriage, because there's, you know, it's just bonus friendship. It's like, how do you, like, what I'm really trying to express is it should already be a priority to you. If that person gets in the way of that priority, that's more of a you problem that you have to work out with you and God. And you can't just tell that person like, hey, you're preventing me from loving God more, so I think we should break up. No, it's, hey, I haven't prioritized what's valuable to me enough, and I've placed you in a position that you actually don't deserve the weight of that. And so it's time for us to reevaluate some things.
I do also really quick want to like validate how hard that can be, like being really young. Like I started dating my husband when I was 15 or 16 years old, and I wasn't like a really avid like Christ follower in the Word. I didn't have a community. Like having to almost like backtrack that later is hard. Like, and even if you spend time with God every day, that is still a really hard thing to have to like look at yourself from like a third person and be like, okay, like I can't, again, back to the beginning, put my value in somebody else and all these types of things. But everything that Isaiah said is great, but I also want to say like you have to work towards that and do that actively every day.
And I just want to say something really quick as we wrap up. Like, I just want to encourage you all to talk to your parents, talk to your aunts, talk to your uncles, talk to your small group leaders about this stuff. You don't have to wait like once a year around Valentine's to secretly submit questions, because I think that people, I grew up and we didn't talk about relationships at all, and it was very like almost like a shameful thing. And the people around you love you, and if it's on your heart to have a partner and have a family, like, you're all here for a reason. It's because your parents have some sort of story, and I'm sure they got good stories and bad stories. Those are like wise people that you can go to with these questions, and I promise that they're gonna drop just as much knowledge as you guys got tonight. And they love you and they want what's best for you, and as long as you come forward with like in relationship with God, I think that they would love to hear from you. So
I'll just say one thing to build off of what Des was saying. One of the best ways to keep your relationship focused on God is to keep your relationship in community. Like, if your relationship is isolating you, if you guys are always like just hanging out, the two of you, and that's it, and you guys are never with your friends, you're never coming to church as a couple, you're never spending time with your leaders as a couple, like, that is a red flag to me when you guys are like isolating yourselves. So one of the best ways to help keep God at the forefront of your relationship is to pursue him together as a couple in community, because that community will hold you accountable.
I would just add that, kind of going along with what Lucy says, either the person you're dating is pushing you towards Christ or they're pulling you away from Christ, and there's no gray area. There's no middle ground. So it's either A or B, you know.
Yes, Jared. Clock it. Yeah, I was like, nobody's gonna say that. Clock it, Jared.
Do we have any last questions from the crowd? I'm seeing shakes of head. Does that mean you want to leave?
Motion to adjourn.
That was really good.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, I just asked if anyone had any questions.
Oh.
And then I got head shakes. And people
Okay.
really want to leave and go home.
Sounds like it. Do you have a question?
No, I said motion to adjourn.
Do you still do you still want one of us to tell an embarrassing like date story?
Do you
or-
have one?
Yeah.
Cool. He's like,
Don't look at him. No, it's more embarrassing on my side because I'm currently in a relationship that started a year ago. But 2 years before that, he asked me out to homecoming, and I he